Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Beans and Dice podcast, a podcast about how we game. I'm Rob. I'm here tonight with our guest Wayne from the Tampa area, and from special guest tonight, the director of the Escape Winter Convention in Orlando, Florida, Patrick Havert. Say hi to
How you
everybody, Patrick.
doing? How's it going, everybody?
Welcome. Just want to do a quick intro here right off the bat. Tonight's format is going to be a little bit different than normal. Carlos normally runs the show from Studio B, from his house. And tonight we are actually going to do a remote. Carlos isn't able to join us. He's got some things that he's dealing with. And so for the first time in almost 2 years, Carlos is going to miss hosting a show. And so he's very broken up about it, as you can imagine. But we here in the last 24 hours, we threw together some remote here. So I'm hosting it from my house here. I'm going to call this Studio C for Childers here. But anyway, so I'm hosting tonight. Unfortunately, we have not quite yet figured out the technical side of phone calls. And so this will be the first live call-in show where we won't have live calls. But we're going to fill the hour with talking to Patrick Havert here about the upcoming convention, Escape WinterCon. We do have the chat going, of course, as always. So if you're on any of the platforms, please put any questions, any comments you have in chat. I'll be pulling those up and highlighting those as we go. So I already see a few people in there. Brian Zeno, hey, says, yo, hey, Brian, how are you? How's Zeno? I got to get over that too. I just talked to Zeno and confirmed he wants to go by Zeno. So I'm gonna get over that habit of calling you Brian. But in any case, welcome to the show. And again, welcome to our special guest, Patrick Havert. Just a little bit of information here I'll give it, and I'm going to turn it over to Patrick for a moment just so he can talk to us about his upcoming convention. But it's the Escape WinterCon Convention 2022. The dates are September 7th through 11th, and it's in Orlando, Florida. And I'll give the floor to Patrick here to just tell us more about the details of what's going on.
Well, basically, we're going to have 100 hours of nonstop gaming where the library will be open the entire time we're there. We have 2,700 plus games in the library, so there'll be quite a selection. But even though we run a few events, we do have some tournaments and some game shows and Werewolf. Most of it's about open gaming. So people can use signs that are on the tables or Discord or Facebook and actually pretty easily find a new game or hopefully somebody to teach it. We have signs that say teacher wanted or players wanted. We're trying to make it easy as possible for people to come out and have fun. So if you haven't bought a ticket yet, come on out.
Awesome. And from what I understand, tickets all need to be purchased in advance. That's right. None at the door, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And as far as ticket options, it's you one ticket for the whole weekend, or I should say 5 days. It's more than a weekend.
Yeah, it's one ticket for 5 days. Basically we want people to come out and have fun. And, one of the things with running a convention is you need to sell hotel rooms and food and things like that for people. So, having it be 5 days helps us get more hotel rooms.
Absolutely. And I know, how many years is this that you've been doing the convention?
Well, Escape Winter, this is our 3rd year, and We'll be switching back to the winter pretty soon. But before that, I've been running conventions since, the early 90s.
Right. Okay.
So was the move this year to September, was that basically just an availability, or was it still a holdover from sort of a COVID thing?
It was still a holdover from COVID because in 2021, we obviously ran it in September, and everybody that ran their convention in the winter had big COVID outbreaks. So I didn't want to run it in the winter and have it be COVID con, so to speak.
Right. Yeah, because we know that during wintertime, we'll see spikes in various, not just COVID, but any kind of illness generally spikes in the winter because people are spending more time indoors. But is the goal for attendance this year? And then next year, when you move it back, it'll be back in November, December?
It'll probably be in late February or early March.
Oh, wow. Okay, great.
So basically, running it in winter is really when I wanted to do it because that's when the weather is its best in Orlando. So people can travel in from out of town and have fun. And, it's also a good time to go to the parks because all the kids are still in school.
So is the goal then to have the Escape WinterCon in September this year, and then again in February, March of 23, or a whole year out from there?
Well, right now I'm trying to book something for 2023. So hopefully we'll be able to pull that off. I know it'll be short notice for a lot of people, but basically, we need to move away from summer now because I know there's a lot of different conventions that run in the summer. So it's better, I think, for people coming in from out of town to go in the winter. At least a lot of people told me that.
And I know I just had somebody I was talking to about the convention just this last weekend, and they asked me, "What's the deal with the timing, and what does the escape winter mean?" I had to explain that was a shift that was forced kind of by the whole COVID situation, and that I assumed that it would certainly be moving back to winter at some point. So yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, well, luckily we ran it in February of 2020, so we ran it right before COVID really came in with a bang.
Yeah.
And so we got lucky at that point, but I don't want to put people at risk. I'd rather have them come out and have fun and not worry about it.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
I was going to say, so what's the, is there a library of games? Do people bring their own? Can we talk about?
I mean, we do have a library of over 2,700 games.
Wow.
But a lot of people bring their own stuff. I mean, obviously, with the number of games that come out, I can't possibly buy everything that comes out brand new. And a lot of Kickstarters, it's a crapshoot because you never know, is it going to be 3 years until you get it, or a year and a half? So people will bring their own games, and really it's about meeting people. I mean, we have a list on BGG where you can sign up for games and schedule them yourself. We have a list of events on tabletop.events, but it's basically game shows, a few tournaments for like Wingspan and Ticket to Ride. And other than that, it's going to be, Werewolf, but people are going to be playing games. We'll have a hot games area where we'll set out some of the newest games that we have that people want to play, that if we put in the library, somebody might have checked out for like 8 hours, and that'll upset a lot of people. So we'll set it in the hot games area so people can just play it 24 hours a day. But yeah, I mean, we have signs up, like I said, I think previously, that say teacher wanted or players wanted, and people usually put their box up on top of it so people know exactly what game they're looking for. And I've heard people say that this is one of the easiest places to just find games for pickup and not really worry about being socially anxious.
Yeah, for sure. I know that Carlos and I attended last year. I think we only made it was a day or about a day and a half. We came early in the morning and stayed until it was after midnight. So we we stayed a good amount of time. But 24-hour gaming, and I can definitely second that it's a very friendly crowd, as a lot of the gaming crowds are. Not all of them, but it was very welcoming. It was very easy to find games. Being from the Tampa area, we had a pretty big crew that was there, but we met lots of new people. I mean, we brought people into big party games that we were playing and group games. And we got a lot of games played, and I'd say we met probably 10, 15, 20 new people last year. So that's really good. And there's a flea market, right, where people can buy and sell games.
Yeah, there's a live flea market, and we also have a virtual flea market, so people can arrange to buy and sell games beforehand, and they just exchange them at the con. Okay. But on Saturday at around noon, we will actually run a regular flea market where people rent a table and everybody does their walkthrough.
Okay. And are the renting of table, are people still able to do that, or is that closed out already? Or
I would have to check. I know they went up for sale a couple of days ago, and usually they sell out pretty quick, but there might be one or two left.
Gotcha. So if you want a table, get on it quick.
Definitely.
I think that's the I've been going to conventions for a lot of years, and it seems like the bigger conventions, I mean, Gen Con, Origins, Gamma, Dragon Con used to be, 20 years ago, big gaming conventions. You did a lot of gaming at those big conventions, and it just seems over the last, 5 or 10 years that the amount of gaming you can get done at those bigger conventions is just dwindling. Where smaller, like Escape WinterCon and other local cons have really become, and my wife and I always joke that we have our gaming cons and we have our cosplay cons, and so it sounds like Escape WinterCon is the perfect spot for someone that's looking to just game 3, 4, 5 days in a row, try all kinds of new games. And I think that that's a market that's growing. We've seen a lot of attendance at these kind of cons, and they're popping up all these cruises and all over the place. So have you seen the demand increase? I mean, sans COVID, obviously, but do you think that there's still room to grow? Is in your vision over the next 5 years, where is Escape WinterCon?
I mean, I think there's definitely room to grow. Like you said, we're a gaming convention, and I'd like to keep that as the focus. So I don't want to get too big, because once people start getting bigger, then like you said, there's, the cosplay and the anime and all the other stuff. And I don't want to deny people that, but there's other places they can go to get that. I like running the gaming conventions and just letting people have fun. Everyone says they'd love to be the next Gen Con, but
not really.
not really. Until the comment from BJ that he agrees that regional cons are the best, and I think there's really is something to that, because you hit a max amount of people that once I can remember going to Dragon Con. I've been going to Dragon Con. That's the one I've been going to the longest, 22 years straight. And when I first started going, I would game all weekend. And I can't remember the last time I played a board game at Dragon Con now, And so, but at smaller conventions, at more regional conventions, that's what I'm like, okay, I'm going, and I know that I'm going to play board games for 5 days. And that's all I'm going to do. And that's the great thing, because then you can check off the list all those games you want to try that you never get to.
Well, that, and you can meet other people from, areas that you're living in. I mean, ours, about half to 2/3 of the people are from Florida, but anywhere between half and a third of the people will be from other places, including other countries. But, they'll find people they can play with online, or find people they can play with locally. I mean, I know it surprised me, but there's like a Brazilian group that comes every year, and, they have a great time when they come. But when we ran it during the winter, they laughed, because for them it was summer. So for them, they came here and it was much colder.
Well, I mean, it could be a good thing. They're escaping the hot weather down there, and people. I assume that over time, more and more people. I mean, people love coming to Florida. They love coming to Orlando in the wintertime. There's a lot of people up north that would love to get out of the snow and come on down to go to the parks and play some board games. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's really what it's all about, is just people come out and have fun. I mean, if you want to play Werewolf all day, you can play Werewolf all day. But, if you want to do something else or learn games, you can.
Sure. Now, how did you, you said you have the Players Wanted. How long ago have you been doing that? You were one of the first people to do that at a con, where you had the signs for Players Wanted, Teachers Wanted, or?
Yes and no. I mean, I saw basically another con had Player Wanted signs, but they only had like 4.
Right.
So I laughed and said, unless you're one of the lucky people that gets those, it's kind of pointless. So we made a bunch. So, basically we have 100 tables, and I think we've got like 75 Player Wanted signs and 20 Teacher Wanted signs. So there's plenty for people to find and go around with. And just having more access to that, I think, helps people feel a little less shy and anxious when they go to a con. Everybody feels a little anxiety approaching new people and asking for a game. But if somebody's got a sign up and you can just walk up and say, hey, I'd like to learn how to play Wingspan. Can you guys teach? It makes it much easier for them to enjoy themselves.
Yes, I think that's you always hear in any of the various discussion groups or Facebook threads for cons, you always find people saying, hey, is this kind of place I can come to alone? Or I really don't have a game group, so if I come here, will I just be by myself all weekend? And I think those kind of things, like the signs and just the community that's being built by those, helps really allow some of the people that don't live by other gamers to come and enjoy a con and meet new people, right? And then they come back every year,
Right. I mean, and that's one of the big things, is that you can come out, make a new group of friends, or even, I know a lot of people have found, I mean, we're all from the Tampa area. I run the convention in Orlando, but I've met a bunch of people there that came out from Tampa that never knew any of our game groups existed. And now I see them like every Wednesday night at our game group.
Yeah, I mean, and then, like I, during the pandemic, found this show, and then called in one night and found out that I live like 5 minutes from Carlos,
just up the street. Yep.
So you never know how close you are to other gamers, right?
Well, that's a small world. You meet a lot of people. Yeah.
Well, and when you go out, sometimes, even going to a store, it gets a little weird because there's no signs up and everybody's got their head down on a game. So you're never sure if you're bothering people by approaching them or not.
Yeah.
So, this is one of the easier ways to find people, especially if they put a sign up. So they're actively looking for more people.
Yeah,
and let's face it, as gamers, we're always looking for more people. We may not be able to express that when you're consumed into planning your next turn, but
yeah, for sure. And I just want to real quick encourage people. I see there's lots of people dropping into the chat here. I've been pulling up some comments, but if you have questions for Patrick, again, without the phone tonight, we hope to certainly have the phones set back up and go in for our call-in show for next Thursday night. But if you have any questions at all for Patrick about this particular con, about running cons in general, like you said, he's been doing it for a long time, so he can certainly answer those questions. And I know we want to focus on this con, on the Escape Winter coming up, but let me just mention, Patrick, you've been in the gaming industry for a long time. How many years have you been in the industry?
Probably close to 30.
Wow, 30 years. That's longer than I've been gaming. So that's awesome. Yeah, really impressive. And I assume you've been to a lot of different cons. I know you've run cons for a while, but have you been to the big cons? The Gen Cons of the world and those kinds of things? Or
I've been there, and I've been to like Nuremberg and Essen and
wow.
And the one I haven't been to is the Tokyo Game Fest, and I really want to go to that one.
Okay.
So now, you talk to any gamer that's been in the industry for a long period of time, probably Robert and I, we were like, oh, we really want to go to Essen.
Oh,
yeah. But then you hear that really Essen is not really what we think of when we think of a convention, that it's really a trade show, or, it's not a lot of gaming unless you go to the hotels at night, that it's really like a shopping, German families will spend their whole year saving up money. They'll go to this convention and buy their year's worth of games. That it's kind of a different animal. So I don't know, is that accurate? What was your impressions of what Essen was like?
Well, that's definitely what it is. I mean, it's more of a business environment. I know the first time I went just as somebody who was there, and we were taking a demo of a game, and there was a big crowd waiting to demo. So after we played a turn and a half, he goes, "You now know how to play. You need to leave."
Oh boy.
Yeah.
So, he wasn't trying to be rude. He was just German, but it was kind of weird. Like, okay, I guess I'm leaving.
Not as hospitable as we'd be used to. Yeah.
Well, and I see a question from Samantha. And Samantha, if you go to escapewintercon.com, under at the con, there's a library tag, and I haven't put the hot games list out yet, but you can see everything that's in the library at the moment. I'm still buying more games as we approach the con.
There you go. That's never a bad thing.
Yep. Now, is it your kind of personal collection that you also use for the convention, or is it a dedicated library that you use only for the convention, sort of?
Well, it's kind of both.
Yes, and yes.
Most of the games come from my personal collection, and at this point, I have a storage space because we've got 24 racks of games, and 2,700 games isn't exactly easy to store at your house. So
that would be your whole house.
So this is the thing that a lot of people ask me, because my name is on a lot of the games, and it's, I don't mind sharing them with people as long as they take care of them.
Sure.
I kind of consider the convention like a local group that I'm part of, so I wouldn't mind if people borrowed my games.
Nice.
Yeah, definitely. We got Rich in the chat there asking, says here, what does Patrick think are the most common mistakes for first-time con organizers? What tips would you give to somebody who's thinking about putting on their own con? Not to compete with your con, but in any case.
Well, if you want to start your own con, when you negotiate the hotel, make sure you have some breakage, which means that you can actually get less hotel rooms than they ask of you. And try to make sure that you negotiate everything, because it's business. Everything's up for negotiation. I know a lot of people, even myself, when I saw a contract for the first time, I just looked at it and said, okay. But everything you can negotiate in terms of, how much money you spend on food and beverage, how many hotel rooms that you'll need, what the breakage percentage is. Because a lot of times, you can't say for sure what's going to happen with a convention. And the last thing you want is a $30,000 bill for missing hotel rooms at the end.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I think to kind of maybe add, if you have, let's say you assume you're going to have 200 people at your convention for 4 days. So that'd be 200 people, probably 100 rooms, or maybe, you have to look at how many rooms there are. And then hotels in most contracts for conventions have hotel nights. So it's not just, you may have 1,000 room nights that you have to book. And so if someone comes in, books a hotel for 4, there's 4 of your 1,000. So you got to fill that. And then by breakage or attrition, it's, at a certain point, you can reduce that 1,000 room nights to 800 without a penalty. But if you don't meet that 800, then you have to pay for those room nights. If you don't meet the minimum room nights in your contract. So I've done some convention work for nonprofits in the education world. I work in education, and we always have X amount of room nights. A certain point out, we can contact the hotel and say, hey, we're not going to meet that 1,000. We're only going to meet 800. Reduce it to that. But then if we don't hit that 800, we have to pay the difference as an association or as a nonprofit. So it's probably similar, for a convention like this as well.
Yeah. And Sam's got a question in here, just if we're ready to change topics, about food. Always a popular thing at the cons. I guess tell us a little bit about what if anything, is going to be right there at the con. And I know from past experiences, there's lots of stuff nearby. But talk to us, I guess, a little bit about food at Escape Winter.
Well, there's a restaurant right next to where all the gaming space is that you can order food from. All the delivery services, Uber Eats, DoorDash, and Grubhub will deliver there. But you're also surrounded, because we're on iDrive, by probably 100 restaurants within like half a mile. Yeah. So a lot of people will walk out and get stuff and come back, or walk out and eat. Yeah. So, and the only thing I really ask is that people try to, when they bring a drink in, don't set it on the table with the game, or have like a locked lid, so that there's no spills on the games.
That's what I was going to ask, is what is the policy there? I mean, is there going to be any area dedicated for food? I mean, or is it just kind of try to keep it away from the games if possible?
Just try to keep it away from the games if possible. I mean, there'll be some tables out in the foyer area that people have been using to eat with, but okay, there should be plenty of space this time for people. So, it just try not to get food on people's games. Most people don't appreciate that.
Usually not. Yeah. Yeah, depends. But I know there's tons of options there. I remember eating, I think we walked across the street to Popeyes and got lunch. And then at 2 a.m, we walked over to, was it Village Inn, I think, on the corner there, and had pie at 2 a.m. So yeah, there's tons of stuff right there within walking distance.
I think that's the people always want to know about their rooms. They want to know about their food. The other big question they always get is parking. So what is obviously if people are staying there at the hotel, they'll have parking, but is there a daily rate or a daily access for people who may be coming from local that aren't staying at the hotel?
Actually, it's free parking, because the Orlando Eye is right next to us, and there's a giant strip mall of restaurants there as well. Yep. So there's a couple of thousand parking spots right there that are, really close to the hotel. That actually the hotel borders that parking lot.
Yeah, right there on the back side of the hotel. Yeah.
Can't beat free.
Yep. And there's all kinds of stuff. I believe, I don't know if it's still there. There was an escape room actually right there, just walking right across the parking lot. There's an escape room that you can do there. I mean, it's like you say, International Drive in downtown Orlando, or not downtown Orlando, but in the Disney Orlando area. There's just so many things to do right around there. You can walk to. There's an old theme park there that has rides and stuff that's pretty much within walking distance. So just all kinds of entertainment right there around the con. Yeah, I know when I go, I'm there to game.
If you're not familiar with the area and you want to do stuff outside of it, there's escape rooms, there's miniature golf. I think it's like a block and a half down the street is that upside down building. Is that Wonderworks?
Yeah, Wonderworks. Yep, I think that's right there. Yep.
And I mean, there's just a ton of stuff right there, and we're not that far from. We're actually in between Disney World and Universal, so you can usually get an Uber to go to either one of those places in like 10 minutes.
Nice.
So do you see sort of families come and maybe the one family member is a gamer and is going gaming while the other family goes off and does other things, or is it generally most of the people who are just gamers and they're there to game?
Well, I mean, a lot of people there are gamers, but people bring their family, and maybe one day the wife gets the game and the husband takes care of the kids, and the next day they'll switch off and stuff like that. Or
and do you have any kind of programming and gaming for kids specifically, or?
No, I mean, we haven't been selling a ton of kids badges because we're running during school time. I mean, when we did it during the summer, it was a little bit different. But, we have a bunch of kids games in the library. And if people want to check them out and play with their kids, there's really no problem with that. I mean, I don't think I've ever had anybody complain about people's families, unless it's like 2:00 in the morning and they're keeping their kids up.
And Samantha, actually, was the next question I was going to ask was about volunteers, whether you were still looking for volunteers. But Samantha asked specifically about the library checkout system and the use of volunteers. But I guess tell us a little bit: are you still looking for volunteers, or are you all full up there? Or?
Well, we're always looking for volunteers. There's always things that happen where people can't make it at the last second or they get sick. And we do use volunteers. We call them con crew.
Okay.
Basically, if you work 12 hours, you get your $120 badge money back.
Nice.
And, usually you'll end up working 3-4 hour shifts. And basically the checkout system is pretty easy. As long as you have your badge, you go in and they scan your badge and they scan the game and you take it and go play with it. And when you bring it back, they scan the game and it goes back into the library and gets put away.
Nice. And let me ask about volunteers, just kind of touching back on that, being somebody who's run a lot of conventions, do you find that a lot of volunteers are back year after year after year, or is it something that people try out once or twice, they would just want to get their badge paid for, and then they become just patrons of the con in the future, or what's been your experience with that?
It's usually probably about 60 or 70% are people that do it and kind of enjoy interacting with the community in that way. And it gives them something to do other than game at the con. I know some people, maybe after a day or two, they'll get burnt out, especially if they're gaming 18 to 20 hours a day. So this gives them a way to break it up so they kind of time themselves better. And there's always people who come and they just want to get their badge back. And, I understand that. It's not like we're living in an economic boom at the moment. So
sure,
getting your money back is fine, But I mean, anybody who wants to be part of the community, that's a good way to build it up because you get to spend time with gamers the whole time you're there, whether you're working registration or the library.
Yeah,
so you're talking about games.
I volunteered in my past only once. No, actually, I guess I've done it twice. I've done it at Dragon Con twice as a volunteer, and it's really a community I found of the volunteers. Like you say, it's not everybody. There's always new faces every year, new people coming and going, but there are. It seems like a dedicated group of people who just enjoy volunteering, and they enjoy seeing each other every year when they come and they get to work the table. And I found the volunteering as far as a con versus I ran actually some demos one year at Dragon Con for quick simple fun. So that was a little more labor intensive, but to some extent. But I find a lot of at the cons, just on the con floor and doing things like that, people kind of just hang out and they just enjoy talking and looking at the games and talking about games. And even though they're working and they're providing a service for the con while they're doing it, I mean, you're hanging out with other gamers, and usually it's a lot of the people are pretty diehard gamers, and so you can talk to them about all kinds of the new stuff that's out, the old stuff that doesn't get played as much, and it's really an experience all of its own, being a volunteer. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually kind of a great community, and just, asking people questions and listening to their answers. You'll ask 100 people the same question and get 100 different answers. So it's always interesting to hear people talk about what they love about gaming.
Yeah, for sure.
I think I have two experiences volunteering. One is local con here in Tampa. I volunteered as a GM, running a couple of games, teaching games, and if you do so many hours, you get your ticket free, which is great. And that was really good because you get to meet people and you teach them a game, and then when you get off your shift, they go, "Hey, you want to play that game again?" You go back and join them and play the game you taught them earlier. which is a lot of fun. The other one was again at Dragon Con, working for WizKids actually as a demoer and judge and all that stuff. And I would never do that again. And I have the utmost respect for people who go to those conventions that are demoers for 4 days, like a Gen Con or Dragon, standing on your feet for 10 hours a day on a hard. Well, now they do nice carpets and foam mats and stuff, but even that, you're standing on your feet 10, 12 hours demoing the same game over and over again. Like my voice was gone after like day one. My legs were hurting. Like it was just a rough experience. But yeah, you got your free ticket. And you got a bunch of free hero clicks out of it, I guess. But like it was if you've never I think anyone who ever tries to be kind of a jerk to anyone that's working a convention, especially a big trade show where someone like these people are on their feet 12 hours, 14 hours a day. You got to they're not getting paid a lot and they're there for the love of it. So it's like, you gotta respect that, but it's tough.
Yeah, it's definitely. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Rob.
I was just going to say it's definitely a special breed of people. Like I say, I've done it twice. I'm not jumping to do it again. It was the first time I did it. It was my way to get to Dragon Con, to get to another con outside of Florida. It was the first time I had got up into Georgia and worked the con. And luckily, when I did it, it was with Quick Simple Fun. The first year I did it, and I was actually able to sit down. We had tables and chairs, and so we sat down and we corralled people in off the floor to come and sit down and play a game. And I got to demo about 4 different games, rotated between the different games while I was there, and so that actually broke up the monotony. But it definitely is. I mean, it takes a bit of a charisma and a personality to kind of get people to come in. I mean, that's part of the job when you're volunteering and you're demoing games. You're trying to get people to sit down and play this game. So sometimes people give you that side eye and they kind of scoot on by. They don't want you to rope them in, but so you're working. You're actually pulling people in. You're getting them to play the game, but of course it's rewarding because then you teach them a game, and they enjoy it, and then you see somebody go pull it off the shelf and buy it. I mean, it's just it's one of those experiences, but it definitely takes a certain breed of people to do that. So
yeah, well, the bigger cons, because they're more trade show-ish when you're going to demo, yeah, you're definitely more of a salesman / demoer than you are as somebody who's helping run the con as a volunteer.
Agreed.
Yeah, and I think that was kind of my point is I think volunteering at the local cons, the regional cons is a way better experience. It's more rewarding personally. Not only do you get the free ticket, but I think it's just more rewarding. You get to be part of that community more than the bigger sort of trade show-ish cons. So.
Yeah, definitely. The big trade shows is rough, and like you said, you got all worn out after the first day, and after I did a couple of them, I learned that you need 4 bottles of water a day while you're out there for 10 hours, or else your throat will dry out because you're just constantly talking, and all the rest of the stuff of just taking care of yourself and not being foolish and going out and gaming all night after you've done that, and then coming back and standing on your feet for 10 more hours.
Absolutely. Yeah. And something I was just looking at here, you might have mentioned it before and I may have missed it, so I apologize. But as far as scheduling games and things at the con, I've seen here on the website, you've got tabletop events that you work with that people can go on there and plan games and set up games. Has that been pretty successful for you?
Well, they can do it there. We actually have a scheduler on BGG where people go and they list a game they want to play in times. And then people can go on and say, well, yeah, I'd like to play that, but at this time, not that time, or whatever. And usually we get, some people spend their whole con scheduling those, and that's all they do the whole con is just fill their schedule and play. With tabletop events, that's usually for the tournaments for us and the game shows, since those have chances to win prizes that people will go to those and, we can't have 150 people in a room that fits 30, so we'll have to make sure to schedule it for the right amount of people.
So, if you expand on the game shows, what can you tell the audience and us a little bit more about what kind of game shows you're going to have at the con, where people can win games and things?
Yeah, well, basically each night except for Sundays, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we'll run game shows, and one will be a trivia questions that will ask about gaming and popular culture. One will be a dexterity type contest where people will play Hungry Hippos against each other.
Okay. Some fun time.
Silly little kids games like that. We have a couple of team games where, like, one is 25 words or less. I don't know if you're familiar with that or not. But, they have whatever that old musical game show was, Name That Tune.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
And you get a list of like 5 phrases, and you have to say how many words you're going to use to be able to get your team to guess it. And then people bid against each other. I mean, really, those are all just about having fun. And, whether you win or lose, you're just going to relax and have fun and listen to people make ridiculous claims about things. And
Yeah,
somebody
for sure.
a hungry hippos to a 4-year-old.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'm just surfing around the website while we're talking here. So for everybody out there, it's escapewinter.com, as you can imagine. So escapewinter.com is the convention we're talking about here with Patrick Havert. And I see also on here that you have a math trade. It says coming soon. And I know a lot of people don't understand. I just recently kind of started learning what math trades are. What can you tell me about math trade? Do you run that directly, or do you have somebody else who runs that? Or
Well, somebody else runs it. I mean, basically, we're doing a virtual flea market this year, but the math trade, when we start going back and getting bigger numbers in the winter, we'll probably end up bringing it back.
okay.
But for right now, the virtual flea market, usually gets a few hundred games on it, and people are able to do that more. I know we ran a math trade the first year of the convention when we had like 700 people there, and basically we ended up making like 15 or 20 trades.
Nice.
If you don't know how a math trade works, you basically rate games that you want to get rid of and games that you want to get. And when everybody's done, there's a math program that a guy named Jeff wrote. And it basically kind of matches everything up as best as it can.
Okay. Yeah, that's the tricky thing about it. People always ask me, and I always have to tell them it's a computer algorithm. It's a computer that matches all this stuff up, and basically you go in and you list all the games that you're willing to part with, and then you go in and rate games that you're interested in acquiring, and then behind the scenes, the math, the computer does all the math. It crosses all the lists. It takes everybody's ratings, and it will give you, if I understand correctly, it'll eventually spit out some kind of spreadsheet that tells you, all right, this person needs to give this game to this person, and they give this game to that person, and it works out in a pretty balanced way where everybody gets rid of some games that they're looking to move, they pick up some games that they're looking to acquire, and the computer system, the algorithm, tries to balance out the math on it so that nobody gets messed over as far as getting something they don't really want or whatever. And so it's way above my head as far as the computer side of it, the algorithm and the IT part of it. But yeah, it sounds really interesting.
There's a really couple of good threads on BGG that kind of really go into detail on what is a math trade and how it works. But yeah, it's I've done one and it's awesome. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, Jim in the chat says math is hard. So is what Jim says in the chat there.
So a couple of questions from the chat there. Christine is asking, when you register for the game show, are you registering as a participant or to watch, or is there a way to differentiate? How does that work?
You're registering to participate. If you want to watch it, you can come out and just watch. I know usually, there's always some people that sit in the back and watch. We'll try to get them to join if they want to play, because obviously everybody's there to play and have fun, but some people feel a little nervous about it. So I can understand if you want to see one before you actually join in, but it's all just good fun to give away some prizes and basically break up the con a little bit so you get a little laughter and just silliness.
That's awesome. I think some of my best memories of conventions are those kind of game shows, those late night things, or group play things. As it breaks up the con. It really makes you have a good time, and you meet new people, which is a great thing. So Zena's asking, is the con limited to 500 people? Is there a cap on attendance, or what's the total?
We're going to cap it at 500 just because there were a couple of the conventions this summer that had big COVID outbreaks, or that people said had big COVID outbreaks. I wasn't at them, so it was hard for me to know. So we'll have a mask room, and the bigger ballroom will be mask free. So that way everybody can basically choose the level of safety that they want to go for. If you want to wear a mask in the non-mask room, that's fine, but nobody's going to make fun of you for it. It's just, it's a weird time, and I want people to set their own boundaries.
Yeah, people need to feel safe for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think having the option of both and having the freedom of doing, making what choices are safe, more making choices that make you feel the most comfortable is a great atmosphere and adds to the friendliness of the convention. So that's great.
Yeah, because last year we did it, and it was about 50-50 with people that wanted to wear masks and people who didn't. So this year we're trying to make it a little bit easier and basically just let people choose what they want to do. Not try to force everybody to wear a mask when they're walking in the main hall and stuff like that.
All right. Jody in the chat there says, Patrick, are you wanting to do Family Feud this year? I offered to run it if you would like.
Jody, possibly. Mike Gust usually runs all of our game shows, and I just assist him with them. So if he wants to run it, that's fine. If he doesn't, I'll let him know that you're willing to run it, and I'll send you a message on Facebook.
Nice. I like to circle back and just speak to things. I mean, Jody, a few messages earlier made the comment that fell in love with gaming and the community because of Patrick and the game group in Brandon. So we'd love to hear that. And
good stuff.
Plans to open a tabletop game store in Colorado, which is awesome. I have a bunch of friends that lived in Tampa Bay that can no longer afford to live here, and they just moved to Colorado. So drop the name of the store in the city it's in, and I'll let my friends that moved out of Tampa out there let them know that there's a game store.
Spread the word.
Yeah,
awesome. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Actually, let me ask you, Wayne. They said that Florida was more expensive than Colorado.
Yeah, I've had 2 or 3 friends move from Tampa to Colorado, and it's their cost of living is way cheaper right now than
Wow.
Tampa. Well, particularly rent in Tampa Bay is they were living in a 2-bedroom condo here in Tampa, and their rent went from $1,200 to $2,500. So,
wow.
Yeah, so a couple people moved out
there. That's a big increase.
Well, if people have questions about the con, certainly keep chiming in here in the chat. I appreciate all the participation. Again, I'm sorry we aren't able to take the calls tonight. We'll hopefully have that back running and back to normal by next week. But keep hitting us with the questions. But I want to ask a little bit, just Patrick, about your gaming history. Let's change a little bit of a topic here. We got to play a game this last weekend at Your Turn over in Board Game Cafe. Your Turn over in Zephyr Hills. And I know we played a game, and it was in my mind and out of my mind. What did we play Saturday?
We played Yokohama.
Yokohama, that was it. I had Hanamakoji jumped in my head, and I got that stuck in there. But Yokohama, that was my first play of Yokohama. You said you've played Yokohama once before, is that right?
Yeah, and I like the game, but yeah, I think I need to play it more to do well in it. I know we played with somebody named Jim who basically just destroyed us. He almost got 100 more than I did.
Jim's good at games. Yeah, he's in the chat. He's good at games. He tends to do that in a lot of the games. He'll run up the score on you. And he doesn't feel bad about it either, which is fine. But yeah,
well, he wasn't a jerk about it, so I'm good with it.
Was James teaching the game, or did
no? Actually,
okay.
Samantha was teaching us. Sam was there, and she played with us. We had a 4-player game, and again, it was my first experience. I liked it. For people who haven't played Yokohama, I'm going to see if I can pull it up here on the BGG real quick, just show a few pictures of it. But it's simple mechanics, so it doesn't take long to teach it. But it has a lot going on. There are a lot of little boards that you lay out kind of randomly, I guess, each time you play, and you kind of move around between the boards. And there's lots of ways to get points. It's a point salad game, so you're doing a lot of different things, and you're trying to see if you can kind of move hard into one of them to bump your points and to get it going. And so it's definitely kind of an engine game. You can do some things over here that give you some things to trade in over there, and I enjoyed it. I liked it a lot. I want to play it again. I know it's been around a little while. It's a popular game, but again, you said you've played it just once before, Patrick?
Yes, and it was fun. I played it on Board Game Arena, and basically that's where I learned how to play it. But yeah, that was probably like 2 or 3 years ago. So it was almost a new game for me. But one thing I did want to mention is the website is escapewintercon.com.
Oh, okay. Did I say it wrong before? So escapewintercon.com for sure.
Yeah, Yokohama's a great game, and I think they came out with a deluxe version with fancy upgraded parts for it, but I could be wrong. That might have been something from Meeple Source.
Oh, okay.
I know I've seen like a gold box for it, so.
Cool.
Well, I just added it to my favorites on BGA, so maybe I'll have to teach myself how to play that game soon. It's one that I've not yet to play.
Are you into digital gaming, Patrick? Do you play online at all, or are you a sit down and play kind of guy?
Well, I prefer to sit down and play, obviously, but we use Discord in my gaming group, Branded Board Gamers, and play online. So that way we can kind of talk trash to each other and ask questions about the game and things like that. So I've also played with a group in Orlando where they use Tabletop Simulator. So a lot of the new Kickstarters that were coming out, we would every week on Tuesday would test them to see if it was something that we'd want to buy or not.
Nice. Yeah, here we go. I finally a little technology challenge here, but I finally got the BGG up for Yokohama. So yeah, 2 to 4 players, 90 minutes, age 14 and up. Says a weight of 3.29. I don't know if that's a little heavy for the game. I guess it's because there's so much going on in the game. I don't know that I would have rated it a 3.29. That's a little on the heavier side, but yeah.
Well, it is. You have to figure out which 2 or 3 areas you're going to focus on to synergize for points. I think that's where the heaviness comes into it. But it's got a 7.8 rating. That's pretty high.
Yeah, it's definitely a fun game. I can see the appeal on it. It's been out for a while, so I know it's. Like I say, it's been a popular game for a while. But
yes, that looks like a pretty busy board.
Yeah.
When did you go to gaming on Saturday?
I was not able to make your turn on Saturday. It was regretfully I wanted to make it out there, but start of the school year, both for my child and I work in higher education, so first week of school, so it just wasn't in the cards. But I tried. I've made the last few, and I'll certainly be out there again. So hopefully in the next time or two, we'll get a game in and get to meet in person.
Yeah, definitely. Or even at Armada Games. That's the next one, isn't it, Rob?
Yes. Yeah, we do usually every other month. There are a few exceptions to that, but usually every other month jumps back and forth between Armada over in the it's kind of like the Tampa edges there, and then over between that and Your Turn Cafe over in Zephyr Hills. Yeah. But the next one should be at Armada Games. We do the second Saturday, so it's the second Saturday of every month. It's easy for me to remember, just being the second Saturday. So anybody in the Tampa area, of course, is always welcome to join us. We usually have about 20 people, 20 to 25 come through throughout the day. I know we had over 20 this last weekend, so it was another successful event. And we play all kinds of games. We play, there's light games, there's heavier games. After you left, Patrick, I mentioned that actually I got into a game of Yokohama. I'm not Yokohama. I jumped into a game of Ankh. Yokohama's the other one we played. A game of Ankh. And Ankh has never been my favorite game, and I had to get coerced into it a little bit. There were 4 people who wanted to play, and they were looking for a 5th, and I just didn't happen to be in a game at that moment. And so I got into it. I think we taught, it was at least 2 new players to play. I probably part of the reason I don't like it is I don't do particularly well. We did have a merge. I was not part of the merge, so I was not in the bottom 2. I finished actually 3rd, I think. So the merged players finished right behind me in 4th. But I want to say, oh no, Jim finished 2nd in that. I was going to say, I want to say Jim won that one, but he actually finished 2nd in that game. So, but yeah. So Ankh's a good game. It's got lovely miniatures, lots of fun little miniatures to play with while you're playing it. But yeah, never been one of my favorites.
No, I'll agree with you. Go ahead, Wayne.
No, you go.
I was going to say is, Eric Lang had that system that he built, and I think Chaos in the Old World is the best, and then comes Blood Rage. And then the other ones after that, I think, are they added new mechanics in, but it kind of took away from the basic experience of the game for me.
Yeah, I agree. There was some doom things that it seemed like Eric went out with that system, and I'm a big fan of Blood Rage. Blood Rage is probably I'd say definitely my top 20, close to my top 10 games of all time. And I played a lot of Blood Rage. And Ankh's you can see obviously some of the similarities there, but Ankh is no Blood Rage for me at least. Yeah.
I've yet to play Ankh, but that seems to be the general consensus from what I hear from a lot of the gamers that I know that have played it. Is it's probably not the best of the trilogy, I guess is what it's called.
Yeah.
So I want to go ahead.
It was rated very highly as a 2-player game, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. It was even nominated for a couple of various awards from different groups as a 2-player game, and I joke that makes it that means that if many people are rating it highly for 2-player, it means that they don't like the merge mechanic and they just want to eliminate that and go head to head. So Slightly off topic, but I want to bring up Nick Oben wants to make sure everyone understands that his streak is still alive, a game a day, all year long. Him and his kids played super skill pinball. Now that's a Jeff Engelstein game that I really want to try. It's a roll and write pinball simulation game.
It's a good one.
It's a good one, and I know they have an expansion that has a Star Trek arcade pinball machine, so I definitely want to try that one. I want to do that, and then reminding folks that the Wesley Chapel Board Gamers have a meetup this Saturday at the Double Branch in what's it called?
The Groves.
The Groves, yeah, in the Groves.
Yep.
So I plan to be up there this weekend, hopefully, and maybe my wife and kid will join me for a little while at least. So it'd be fun.
What's Double Branch?
I'm sorry?
Double Branch. It's a brewery.
Yes,
it's a Double Branch Artisanal Ales, I think it used to be called. I think they changed it to Double Branch Brewery, but they brew their own beers there, and so it's a pretty large place. I don't know how many places. Yeah, the whole thing holds, but they reserve about half of it one Saturday a month for the Wesley Chapel Gaming Group that Nick Oben heads up, and they get a good turnout there. Usually, it's a good 15 to 20 people there.
Last time I would say it was between 20 and 25 folks there gaming, starting from like 11 a.m. or noon till 6 or 7 o'clock. Got some good games in there last time, so it was kind of fun. And then Brandon Board Gamers meet that nerdy needs in Brandon. Say that
3 times fast. Yeah, there you go.
So
I think Brandon every Wednesday night, and then the second and fourth Sundays.
Wow, you got a real regular group going there.
Yep.
Yeah, well, like last night we met, and there were probably like 25 people there. So, we do pretty well. And sometimes, obviously, around Christmas and stuff like that, we'll go down to like 12, but usually 20 to 25 is about what we're looking at.
Okay. Nice. Not bad. All right, I got to ask. So Samantha put in here, Patrick, what are your favorite games? You don't have to give us all of them, but give us a couple. What are Patrick's type of games? What do you like playing?
Well, I like to play a bunch of different stuff, but I like Blood Rage. I actually like Seasons. I like that game Space Base, even though I lose every time because my dice are never rolled.
That's a good one. I like Space Base.
Yeah. I find it interesting to build the engine, and then I realize somebody else is winning the game, and I have 3 points. But basically, anything that's interesting will make me want to play it and play it again. So, there's a lot of different games, and I'll go through phases. Like, I played a lot of Blood Rage, so I got a little bit burned out on that and then moved to different games. But like on Board Game Arena, I usually play a lot of Res Arcana. And
that's a good one. I'm a big fan of Res Arcana. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I think that's a great game. And I also like the Lost Ruins of Arnak.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's also a good one on BGA, too.
Yeah,
I played Nova and I really liked it, but it's one of those ones that it's hard to get a lot of people to play because it just takes a while.
Yeah.
I just finished. I have not played Seasons in physical form. I played it on BGA, and I like you said, I had fun playing, but I got crushed because it's funny is when I've noticed is that you watch a video on how to play a game, and the videos of how to play, and it's the physical copy, and then when you go play it on BGA, it looks somewhat similar, but you're like, this doesn't make any sense. It doesn't click until you've played it a few times. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It was a good game.
Yeah, I love BGA because it makes it so easy to play new games, and they've been coming out with so many lately. But I also realize there's a lot of sharks out there. So a lot of times when you play a game, you see what other people do. And, I used to think I was pretty good at this.
Oh, yeah.
And then you just get vaporized by somebody that knows really what they're doing.
And that's what we have. We have on our Discord server for Beans and Dice. We have a BGA forum, and we're playing asynchronous games, all the time, posting links. And then actually on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, we've been trying to do some live BGA plays. So it's good to at least get with people within the community that who they are or gaming. And actually, I think last 2 weeks ago, live we played Celestia, which is one of the games that Quick Simple Fun has done, I think. And that was a really lovely game. And I think that's where BGA helps you decide what games you want to buy, because Celestia is on my wish list now to get a copy for the family, because I think it was a fun game. So
Definitely. It really helps you try out a lot of different games. And I was nervous when Asmodee bought it at first, but lately they've been coming out with a game like one or two, sometimes even 3 games a month that are brand new. Because they just like released Barrage on it, and it's like I've never played Barrage in a physical form, but now I'm going to be able to try it out.
And
We've experienced Barrage. That was a crazy game, but yeah.
I'm in my second game of Barrage, and I don't think I really know what I'm doing still. But it's definitely very fun. And what's good is they're releasing older games, they're releasing newer games, and then you're seeing some publishers that are really buying into BGA, like Stonemaier Games. Wingspan's now in alpha. They've got Tapestry, a couple other games. So I like that idea. And there's Celestia showing that.
Yeah, that was right here on my shelf.
That was a really fun game. I really enjoyed that. I was playing that with Getty and Diego and a few others. And I think James. So it was fun. It's on my list now.
No, I like Celestia. I've demoed it probably about 600 times.
Oh, yeah, I imagine.
Yeah.
All right. Are there any other questions that people are sending in? And I want to know, Nick, are all your games live, or are you playing online as well for your game a day?
His game a day is in person. Him and his family. He's got a wife and some boys, and they've played a game a day since January. And they've kept it going. And he usually calls in every Thursday to give us an update on that. So it's impressive the amount of games that they've gotten in this year. Certainly way more than me. But no, they only count the live games, I believe. And he still does a ton of PGA games with us as well. But the live games every day is impressive. So
no, it's definitely impressive. Yeah, even when all the kids were home, I don't think I ever got to play a game a day.
Yeah. I don't. As Nick say, in person, correct. Though I am, if I'm on the travel, game of chess together. Hey, a game's a game, right? Chess, checkers, whatever it is. I mean, to play a game a day since January, if you make it the whole year, man, that's going to be like an amazing feat, and we're gonna have to get like some kind of like certificate for you from the Beans and Dice. we'll get We'll get Carlos to make you something.
Yeah, I was just at Nick's house yesterday. He invited me and Joe from our group over, and we played Arcana Rising. I had never played that game before. That was a new one to me, and that was a lot of fun. But yeah, Nick definitely filled us in on the game a day, and his goal is definitely to make it through the whole year. He said now it's kind of a thing. And he said at first it was a bit of a chore just because it was a little bit about, oh, we got to play our game today. We got to play our game today. But he said on the flip side, now it's kind of almost like a thing now. He said that, at one point it was like it was kind of dreading the setup and the put down just to have to play the daily game. But he said now it's almost kind of like it's normal. So he's like, hey, we got to get our game in. So, one of the kids sometimes will grab it, set it up and play it. So, once you get into that rhythm, I guess it makes it a lot easier to do it. So, but yeah, good luck on the game a day.
Yeah, I think that, like you said, though, if you normalize it, if it becomes the thing that you do, and I think that's what I got to start doing that with my own family, because like I used to play games with my son all the time, and this summer and now school started, we've gotten out of that habit. And I can't remember the last time I played a board game with him. So this weekend I'm gonna be like, all right, you know what? Every Sunday night we're gonna play games, or schedule time of this time every week we're gonna game. So once you normalize it, then it makes it easier. So.
Yeah, even a little bit of time after dinner to play like a 20-minute roll and write or something like that. It's just a little time for you guys together and things like that.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
But congratulations on making it part of your routine instead of a chore.
Oh yeah. Especially with the 3 little kids at home. He's got 3, I think, all under the age of I want to say 10 or 12 at the oldest for sure. But
2 boys and a girl, I believe, right?
Yep. And so he's just incorporated now. They look forward to it every day. So that's awesome. I wish I would have gotten that going. And so actually, Nick just chimed in here. So that's the key: break down the barrier of playing games, taking time, and just decide to go ahead and take time to do it. So yeah,
nice. And we have Rich Getty from our forums. Rich saying that Celestia is great. He's the one that introduced us to the game. He's up north from us. He's not yet down in Tampa. We'll work on him. Get him down here too.
We're going to get him down here. We're going to get all the gamers down here in at least in Florida, in the Tampa area. So Ron Fraser, we're going to get him down. So yeah, we're going to have quite the group down here eventually, hopefully.
Yep. Yeah.
But we've already got a good group down here, of course.
I'm less than 2 weeks from being in Atlanta, so Ron and I'll have to figure out.
Hit them up while you're there.
Hit them up while I'm there, and I'm not going to be here in 2 weeks on Thursday, so I'll have to call. We'll have to get a call in working. So
Yeah,
call in and
from DragonCon. Yeah, you got to tell us all about the convention for sure.
Give a recap of the first night of DragonCon. So,
yeah, it's not just an expectation; it's a duty now. You got to do it.
So got to do it. Yeah,
absolutely.
I think last year I called in from Fido Irish Bar, which is like my favorite place in Atlanta. So it's a good place.
Yeah.
So great,
awesome. Well, I don't want to keep you too late, Patrick. I know we had hinted that an hour is normally what we run the show. We've hit the 10 o'clock hour, so it's if we hit 1 hour here long. Is there anything? If there's any last minute questions, if anybody wants to chime in here before we wrap up, but just I guess recap for us again where people can find information about the con. Let us know about where they can find you if you've got anything on the socials on the webs up that people can check you out.
Well, I'm obviously on Facebook, and we do have a page and a group, and I suggest you go to the group if you want to go. But the website is escapewintercon.com. So go there. You can get all the information and links to all of our social media and the virtual flea market and everything else. And basically just, come out and have some fun. Don't worry about you're going to be alone or you'll only play with the people from your group. I mean, you can choose to do that if you want, but there should be plenty of people around that are looking for more gamers.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, any last minute questions for Patrick, Wayne? Anything else you can think of?
I think we covered a lot of it. I think it's been really informative, and I think that what people need to the statement I'll make is you don't realize the amount of work. If you think it takes a lot of work to run this behind the scenes, multiply that by 10. Just the experience I have working with some nonprofit professional conventions, it's insane the amount of work that goes into this stuff. So, Patrick, I would thank you for being not only being part of the game community, but being willing to run and do conventions like this that allow us and all people gamers to get together and have fun. I think that the work that you do probably doesn't get enough credit. And then thank you for joining us tonight, and thank you for all you do.
Absolutely. And hopefully you get to have some fun at the con, Patrick. I know it's probably 95% work and 5% fun, especially that week leading up to it. But hopefully you get to enjoy the con to some extent.
I do, and I like interacting with the people. I mean, I run the con because I love doing it, not because I make a ton of money on it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thank you very much for having me on tonight.
Yeah, I don't see any other questions popping up here. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and just end the broadcast. If you're going to hang on just for 1 minute, I just want to say bye to you off the air here. But that's it for the show tonight, folks. Again, you've been watching the Beans and Diet podcast, a podcast about how we game. Check us out every Thursday night. We are on from 9 to 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Some weeks we'll run a little longer, but we're here usually a live call-in show. This week we did it through the chat, so I appreciate everybody participating in the chat, asking good questions, everybody chiming in with good comments. That's appreciated while we filled the gap here. So we're working on putting some emergency things in place so that we can keep this thing going every Thursday night. We haven't missed a Thursday in almost 2 years now. We had we moved one show for Thanksgiving, but other than that, we've had almost full 2 years of the show. So we appreciate everybody watching, everybody participating, and until next week, again, I'm Rob.
I'm Wayne.
And we got Patrick, our special guest. Yeah, there you go, from Escape WinterCon 2022. So get online, check it out, get some tickets, and go enjoy the con if you're in the Orlando or the Tampa or the Florida area. Anywhere in Florida, it's not too far to drive. Orlando's kind of centrally located there. So we appreciate everybody watching. Good night, everybody.
Thanks, y'all. Have a good night.